Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be talking about publishing houses today. And look, there's a cool little penguin logo. I like penguins. So, yeah. So, in the publishing industry, there's known today as what's the big five, but before the big five, there was a big six. And for those that have no idea of what I'm talking about, we're going to get started and then you will. So, basically, think of six kingdoms and one throne. Well, it's five now, but I digress. So once upon a Tuesday in publishing, six houses ruled the realm: Random House, Penguin, HarperCollins, Simon and Schuster, and Hachette, and Macmillan. Today there are five. This is how the Big Six rose to power, why they got swole like they were carb loading on hardcovers, and how one mega merger snapped the map like a paperback spine. So, why size became destiny, aka shelf space, is a contact sport. For most of the 20th century, publishing was a charming chaos of mid-sized firms, legendary imprints, equal parts brilliant editors, long lunches, and questionable expense reports. Then came the national chains, and later the internet. Book retail turned into a logistics Olympics: print big, ship wide, negotiate hard, and market louder. Whoever had scale plus distribution plus backlist won the relay. Conglomerate parents. You got Bertelsmann, Pearson, News Corp, Lagarde, Holzenbrink, Viacom/CBS said, "We have the spreadsheets and we're not afraid to use them." And the era of the big giants began. The secret ingredient wasn't Dragonfire, it was trucking rates. So, small spoiler there. So Backlist Gravity, a rom-com where the love interest is ISBNs. Basically, front list gets the champagne, backlist pays the rent. A deep catalog of evergreen titles, classics, cookbooks, perennial bestsellers, school staples keep the lights on when a busy debut does just okay. The bigger your backlist, the bigger your paper discounts, your freight terms, your co op tables, and your peace of mind. It's gravity. Once you have thousands of steady sellers, everything else orbits you. Yes, even your author who doesn't do social media. Author, you should do social media. So basically, the big six take the field. Speed run with attitude. We got Harper and Collins, the transatlantic mashup. So News Corp merged into Harper and Row with William Collins and said, "Congrats, you're Harper Collins now. Please share snacks." So the result of that is a US UK Hydra with literary prestige under Harper, commercial thunder from William Murrow, and romance via Avon, spirituality with Harper One, and a paperback brain trust at Harper Perennial. And their strategy is pretty much publish across the dial, shout in both hemispheres, own your Tuesdays. So the vibe is pretty much respectable jacket design, dangerous marketing budget. And then we got Random House, the backlist colossus. Uh, Bertelsmann bought Random House and fused it with Bantam, Doubleday, Dell, creating a catalog so deep you could scuba dive in it. Knopf and Vintage for literary immorality, Doubleday for cultural grenades. Then you got Ballantine/Del Rey for your science fiction fantasy muscle, Crown, Clarkson Parter, Harmony for narrative nonfiction and lifestyle. In a bookstore had a Random House end cap. It looked like the greatest hits album. So basically, Pulitzer in one hand, lightsaber in the other is their vibe. Then we have Penguin, the commercial super network. Penguin acquired Putnam Berkeley, wiring together Viking, Putnam, Dutton, Riverhead, Penguin Press, and the mass market engine, Berkeley, Ace, Jove, and NAL. Also, Penguin Classics, the "This Belongs on Your Dorm Shelf" badge. Penguin mastered the paperback life cycle, hardback, and trade paper, your uncle's favorite airport read. So its vibe is tasteful prestige on top of fastball down the middle underneath. And then you got Hachette, the strategic beachhead. Lagarde's Hatchet Liveray brought Time Warner Book Group and turned it into Grand Central Publishing. flanked by Little Brown and Orbit. The US unit plugged into European scale, bringing nimble list and serious distribution. Orbit became a genre fortress. Little Brown balanced literary and smart commercial, and Grand Central swung big on nonfiction and thrillers. And the vibe is pretty much cosmopolitan, caffeine efficient, unafraid of series. Then we have Macamillion, the house of distinct taste. Holtzbrink unified Farrar, Strauss, and Grouse, Henry Holt, St. Martin's Tor slash Forge under the Macamillion banner, which basically translates into a literary lighthouse, Holt serious nonfiction, St. Martin's commercial engine, Tor's science fiction fantasy kingdom, and the rare publisher whose author dinner might include a National Book Award winner and a dragon rider. So that vibe is pretty much editorial sensibility with the warehouse membership card. Then we got Simon and Schuster, the legacy generalist. Simon and Schuster is venerable, versatile, and very good at finding the cultural moment. With Scribner, Atreya, Gallery, Pocket, and Wide Children's List, Simon and Schuster could take a celebrity memoir to #1 on a Tuesday and a literary novel to prize list by Friday. Vibe. We know who's on late night TV this week. And I know that was a lot, so I'm going to give a screen share here as soon as I can pull it up. And where did I put it? Here we go. So basically, this is what the Big Six looked like before they became the Big Five. It's a shorter list, but it's got some notable imprints on here. I mean, we're looking at Penguin. We got Penguin Press, Viking, Putnam, Dutton, Riverhead, Berkeley, etc. There's Plume there. And Puffin. We got Random House, they got Doubleday, they got Vintage and Anchor, Ballantine, Del Rey, Dial Press, Crown, Broadway, and then we got Harper Collins, Harper, obviously, William Murrow, Echo, Amistad, blah, 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 and little Avon down there. Well, not little, they're big. Simon and Schuster, Touchstone, Atheum, Little Simon, and then Hatchet, we got Little Brown, Grand Central, Orbit, and some others. And the Macamillion, got Henry Holt, St. Martin's Press, Tor Forge, Picador, and then Macamillion's Children. So, that's where they were. Let's go on to where they are now. But basically, why 6 and not a chaotic 17 like we saw on the list? Why not just have independent? Because economics of scale are extremely unsexy and extremely decisive. A few example authors never put on Instagram. Freight class and carton optimization, cheaper per book, fewer book injuries en route to your nightstand. You got print run breakpoints, 2 cents saved by 300,000 units equals the champagne budget. We need champagne, guys. National co-op tables, the mythical front of store shrine where your to be read list triples. Seasonal marketing, coordinated blitzes that look suspiciously like movie openings. I wonder why. 6 houses got big enough to do all that like muscle memory. Everyone else learned parkour. Yeah, that's pretty accurate. The dollars translated to feelings. The pros of that are more muscle to launch debuts, maintain backlist, and distribute everywhere. The cons, however, are internal competition for attention is Darwinian. The loudest book eats first. Yeah. And then the kind of midway neutral truth, the right book at the right time still beats the algorithm. Librarians and indie booksellers are the true wizards here. They really are. Okay. So here we go. So in 2013, Penguin plus Random House, 2 dragons that formed into Voltron. So in 2013, Penguin and Random House merged into Penguin Random House overnight. The Big Six became the Big Five. The logic was obvious. Shared sales force, unified distribution, better printing leverage, reduced overhead, and a rights marketplace the size of a small city. Promise to the world, keep imprint identities, supercharge operation. But in reality, Imprints reshuffle, leaders musically chaired, backlist got new digital vitamins, and Tuesday stayed terrifying in a good way. So inside the new giant, imprint diplomacy 101, we got Penguin Random House organized into big constellations. You've got Knopf Doubleday, which is literary prestige plus vintages paperback black belt. Random House Publishing Group. You got Ballantine, Del Rey, Dial Press, etc. Crown, Clarkson Potter, 10 Speed, Currency, which is the non-fiction plus lifestyle plus design. Got the Penguin Publishing Group, which is Viking slash Putnam slash Dutton, Riverhead, and then, of course, Penguin. Then you've got the Press Berkeley Tarcher Puree, which is Penguin Young Readers, which is Puffin, Philomel, and Razorbill, etc. And basically, it's a factory downstairs and 8 layers upstairs. So, then there was an attempted super merger, and this is the big plot twist. Penguin Random House later tried to acquire Simon and Schuster. Regulators said the quiet part out loud. Too much buyer power at the top could chill auctions and squeeze big advances. The deal was blocked. They were like, nay, nay, we see what you're trying to doing. You're trying to make a monopoly. And even though you have competition, we're going to say no. Simon & Schuster, however, was sold to a financial buyer instead. Long story short, the map stayed 5, not 4. Somewhere mid-list, authors exhaled like they were found a seat at musical chairs. Like, hey, this is where we're staying. The author reality check, the hope, the hazard, and the hacks. So upside down, you have national reach on day 1, pro cover plus metadata, audio baked in, foreign rights pipeline, epic series support. The hazard, however, is the list is crowded. Your publicist is heroic but mortal. The sales force is mighty but has a finite number of breaths. Hacks. Build email early, be genuinely weird on one platform, write your jacket copy 10% tighter than your pride allows, and become best friends with 3 booksellers and 1 librarian. 4 librarians if you write science fiction fantasy. So, yeah, I mean, there were good and there were bad things to come out of this. And then, why keep dozens of imprints? Because taste is brand. Readers don't pledge allegiance to corporate names. They trust imprints. Riverhead signals smart, fearless, often awardy. Del Rey whispers science fiction fantasy that will consume your weekend. And then Tor says, we own your series addiction. And Scribner's like, literary gravitas, come correct. Imprints are the label on the mixtape. The corporation is the stereo system. So here's like a case study genre as a scale engine. So you got science fiction fantasy is where spreadsheets meet starships. You got Del Rey, Random House Heritage, built for long tail franchises. You got Ace and Berkeley, which is Penguin Heritage. It fed mass market racks for decades. And you got Tor / Forge from Macmillan, became the cathedral of award winners and cult favorites. The paperback ebook afterlife meant reoccurring revenue, aka the annuity paying for literary miracles and risky nonfiction. And then you got another kind of case study, nonfiction blitzkrieg. You got big houses run nonfiction launches like a presidential campaign. Coordinated media, Tuesday laydowns, bulk channels, and podcast carpets. When a topical book needs to hit now, scale is the superpower. Also, the reason Tuesdays mornings feel like Black Friday for publicists. Children's and young adult, the quiet cash cow. Children's divisions print money respectfully because you got schools and library channels, licensed intellectual properties, and picture book perennials. Try saying that 3 times fast. Picture book perennials. Keep the cash register singing. So think Puffin and Philomel, Little Brown Books for young readers, Anthonyum, Macmillan's Children's. Those check fun, high-risk young adult trilogies and lavishly illustrated nonfiction that makes your coffee table feel smarter. Then you got the digital tilt with the ebooks and audio, which is the undead backlist. Ebooks didn't kill print, they gave backlist immortality. and eliminated the out of stock forever heartbreak. Audiobooks went from nice extra to how I read now. The winners? The houses with the fattest backlist. Suddenly, that 1996 midlist history has a second life in someone's earbuds on I-35. Agents, auctions, and the fine art of FOMO. Agents create heat. Sometimes they run cross-house auctions. Sometimes internal auctions across imprints with a single conglomerate. Meanwhile, the nimble independents keep stealing wins with passion, focus, and, well, move the moon for you energy. The big five don't win because they're big. They win when being big is the advantage the project needs. What consolidation did not fix? Discoverability is chaos with a ring light. Book talk, bookstagram, newsletters, podcasts, library displays, indie staff pick walls. These move the needle. The big five can build the runway that cannot force liftoff. That's still the alchemy of editor taste, author voice, timing, and a weirdly perfect thumbnail. So let's take a look at our image again as soon as I learn how to screen share, because apparently I forgot how to do that. Yeah, there we go. So on the left here, we have the before, which we saw a few moments ago, and then maybe if I do that, then we have what happened in 2000 or up to 2005. So we went from 6, and then post 2013 went to 5, almost 4, but the courts again said, no, you can't do that. So our big five remaining are Penguin, Harper, Collins, Simon & Schuster, Shop Brick Group, Macmillan, and yeah, that's what it looks like. And see how Penguin and Collins, their list is gigantic compared to the others. So it'll be interesting to see what happens later. And so yeah, so the reader's point of view, like what's in it for me? I mean, you've got more formats, better audio, reliability of supply, sturdy reprints, slick marketing that actually tells you a book exists. However, risk of sameness, fewer mega bidders chasing the same whale, mid-list titles needing a Sherpa to find their tribe. What's the antidote? Libraries, indie booksellers, school programs, niche communities, chaotic good influencers. I guess I'm a chaotic good, tiny, metrically tiny influencer. So there you go. The long aftermath. I'm sorry, aftermath. The map is stable. The ground is not. See, my brain merged two words into one that shouldn't be together. Aftermath, aftermath, ha ha ha. Anyway, the big five is the headline, but the footnotes are where life happens. Imprint consolidation, relaunches, distribution, client shifts, audiobook experiments, new retail model, creator-led launches. The lessons from the big six era still rules. Scale is a tool, not a strategy. Taste plus execution beats size plus vibes. That rhymes. Ha ha ha. So what's my closing thesis here that you can stick to your fridge? The big six rose because the market rewarded size. The big five exists because two of the biggest decided to share the same last name. Whether that's good or bad depends where you sit. If you're an author, gigantic upside, intense competition, bring a plan and a spine of steel. If you're a reader, a fire hose of choice, hydrate accordingly. If you're a publisher, balance the factory and the atelier. Never forget the reader is allergic to boredom. So, the map shrank from 6 banners to 5, but the real fight never changed. In an attention economy, the books that win are the ones that feel inevitable, the moments you hear about them. That's the magic. Publishers chase that magic. The dragon everyone is still riding, and the reason the saga is very much to be continued is there's some books that hit the ground and it's like, well, wildfire spreads. And then you have sleepers that you don't hear about for a couple years later that become like a cult classic read. And a lot of this has to do with marketing, how books get exposed. Because I've mentioned before, over 2 million new books a year. I can't read that fast, neither can you. So sometimes a good book gets missed, and that's why there's hidden gems out there that are just for discovery. So we went from 6 to 5. Maybe it'll be 4, 3. Maybe we'll have one day. I don't know. It should be kind of scary, but yeah. I think that's going to do it for today. Again, I have a Patreon. If you're interested in book clubs, we're getting one started this coming January. So you can head on over there. We're having weekly meetings right now, just talking about books in general, what we're reading, what we think about this and that and the other. It's really fun. And if you like what I'm doing here, just head on over there. The link will be down in the description. And yeah, I think we're done. Keep on booking on.